Alrighty, this is Joe. You listen to KQCK radio station, and it is that time again. It is time for the O Factor. That's right, the O Factor with Jessica G. And special guests. Welcome, Jessica, as always. How are you?
I am amazingly fabulous, because you know why?
You're excited?
I am excited. I'm always excited to come here on Tuesdays because it's the highlight of my day.
It was amazing when you flew in today with your cape over the building. I wish you wouldn't have hit that dirt mound, but...
I hit the microphone.
Other than that, it was a fantastic entry to the property.
Today, I am dressed in my Halloween costume. I am the organizer. I am a disorganized crime fighter. And so I just go out there and let everybody know, just because you're disorganized, it's not a crime, although it should be. So
that's true.
Yeah. In some cases more than others.
Stop.
I wasn't directing that at anybody in the room.
Oh, good. I didn't think so.
Nobody in the room, I promise. No, but I am excited because I've really looked forward to this show for almost a month now, it seems like. But I have with me John Condaso. He's with AAA Insurance. And the whole topic today is when things go bad. And I'm not talking like, oops, I have a flat tire on the way to work. I'm talking like when things go really, 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 really bad. And so people don't realize that's something that you need to organize as well. There's things that you need to get in your life prepared so that when they go bad, it doesn't completely take you out business-wise or personally, because it can take a while. So before we get too heavy into it, John, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I've been fortunate enough to work for the AAA organization for about 25 years in different capacities, and when it comes to insurance claims, when it comes to working as an agent, and even managing AAA offices. So I have a good, vast background with the insurance industry and AAA. So I'm very happy to work with them for the last 25 years.
That's a long time, too.
Yeah,
so,
it's been fun.
And you've been have you been with other insurance companies? Not that I want you to name names, but you've been in the industry for...
Yeah, about 25 years, and I've worked for the company of AAA in California and in Arizona here for the last 6 years. So, yeah, just a lot of experience with the membership club and then the insurance products that they offer.
Right.
And you look really familiar. Have I seen you on TV before?
Yeah, every once in a blue moon you might see us. AAA has a television show called High Road that's on at 4:30 on Channel 3 every Sunday, and every once in a while you see me or my Vice President Brad Altman's doing some informational pieces on insurance with Dan Davis.
With Dan Davis, that's right. I've seen you on there. There you go.
I have to make sure we bring Dan around. I'll tell him about your station. This is awesome out here.
Yeah, right on. Glad to have you.
He walked in. He was like, "I want this man cave." Like he was like kid in a candy shop. He's so excited. Well, I'm excited to have you too, because one of the things, like, we're going to be a yin yang kind of thing going on. So, I want to just kind of tell people, like, for example, we have a group that we meet every day on Tuesdays, and you're part of that group. And one of our group members said, like, hey, look, I can't stay today. I have to go deal with this situation. My in-laws' house was broken into, and they, like, trashed their quads and took all their stuff. I was like, oh, you need to listen to tonight's show, because this is what it's all about. And that's exactly the things that I'm talking about, is when things go that kind of bad. So, like, when your house burns to the ground, or somebody comes into your office and steals all your equipment. Like, how do you prepare yourself to make sure that that doesn't take you out, personally, emotionally, and financially, but also for your business? Like, how does that prevent, what do you do to prevent that from completely closing your doors on your business? So, and I just, doing my research ahead of time, I went ahead and looked at some statistics, and I'm a statistics kind of girl. So just on the curious thing is, like, the U.S. Fire Department puts out this survey or this report, and it said that over 2,500 civilians die in fire deaths. That's crazy. 12,000 are injured, and about 7.2 billion in damages. I mean, that's a big number. And I was trying to find some statistics on local, but I wasn't able to do it. But the interesting, like, the leading cause for home structure fires, cooking equipment.
Right. Well, whether you're cooking, whether you're having a barbecue outside, you get so relaxed at home sometimes you forget to be that safety person, that making sure that you don't have those type of exposures that could cause a fire and you really devastate you as a homeowner.
And one of the big things coming up right now, talking about cooking fires, would be, and I don't know if it's going to be as heavy this year because of the marketing that I've seen done, but deep frying turkeys at Thanksgiving has been huge.
Exactly. We do that every year as well, and you are so right. You have to set that up a certain way because you never know what can happen, whether the wind blows it over or the equipment fails, and all of a sudden you have 20 or 30 pounds or 40 pounds of grease following all over the place that just start a fire just like that.
That happened to me once when we were cooking a turkey. I didn't realize you had to kill it first. I won't quit my day job.
That's interesting. And
Practice makes perfect.
One of the things that I had a friend that was learning how to deep fry turkeys, and they didn't know you actually had to thaw them out all the way because it was
my God.
it was still partially frozen, and so when the water hit the hot grease, well, anybody who's cooked and threw a little bit of water and grease knows that it just instantly just goes. It goes crazy, but she stuck a halfly thawed turkey.
That's like gas flames of the match.
Yeah, it was bad. She didn't have eyebrows for a while.
You only do that once, huh?
It was pretty bad. Yeah, so definitely this is a perfect time of the year for it because people are going to start cooking more and more with the holidays coming up. You know, I bet I'm just curiosity to see if you two guess it. Do you know what the second leading cause to fires? Home fires. Any idea, Joe? You're kind of quick on the numbers, though. No peeking.
No, I'm not
Okay.
even going to comment.
Do you want to venture a guess, John?
It might have a little bit to do with maybe your garage, I'm guessing. And gas
Smoking.
fumes and smoking.
Smoking.
Fumes and gas, yeah.
People smoking and not paying
Smoking?
attention and either falling asleep while smoking. And I was like absolutely stunned by that. Like 24% actually was considered smoking materials were 24% versus the 42% of cooking equipment. So I mean it's right up there.
Smoking in the boys' room?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was actually kind of shocked by that. Like, I don't really think about house fires and smoking, but, you know, a lot of times I hear people, well, especially here in Arizona when we have, like, the dry season, like, they like, don't throw your cigarette butts out the window and that kind of thing. So they'll start forest fires, and then next thing you know, your house is burned down.
Well, it's so easy to get distracted, in your personal life. If you're smoking or you don't put out a cigarette all the way, but if you're smoking and all of a sudden you get a phone call and it's an emergency call or something happens, guess what you do? You walk away and you talk or you get distracted.
And insurance doesn't cover smokers, do they?
Yes, we do.
Oh, gotcha.
I was going to say, don't ask me.
Just like,
You gave me that look, and I was like, yeah.
wanted to make sure.
Okay, are you pointing at it?
I'm not a smoker either, but
And then the other kind of crimes, I mean, the fire is definitely one of them because, I mean, that's devastating. I mean, it'll wipe you out completely, and it's not prejudice. It's not partial. It'll burn your kitchen just as quickly as it'll burn your office, your computer equipment down. It's not really partial. But another thing that I thought was interesting is I went and pulled the crimes and crime rates from the U.S. Census Bureau, which was kind of interesting, but they listed, and I couldn't get current numbers, so granted these are 2009, so hopefully the stats have come down, but the aggravated assault, 263 for violent crimes, property crimes. This is a total property crimes in 2009. This seems like awfully low, but it was like close to 5,000 property crimes.
Yeah.
Does that seem low to anybody?
well, we're pretty crime-free out here in Arizona, aren't we?
Those are reported crimes.
I was kind of like floored by that. I was like, wow, that just doesn't seem that bad at all. But you know what? On the flip side, it hasn't been directed to me.
Right.
So if I was a victim to one, I think that would change your perspective pretty quick.
It really does. In my years in business and insurance, I've seen a number of different things happen when it comes to property claims, property thefts, that type of thing. I have a story in California where I had one of my clients that I insured a lot of jewelry that they had. He was taking a plane flight from San Jose to Las Vegas, and he just stayed at the Holiday Inn across the street from the airport. And it's turned out to be an inside job with housekeeping, and he was actually mugged and beat up that night, locked in a closet, and they took about $80,000 worth of jewelry right off the top of him.
Wow.
So you never know what can happen. You want to be prepared, and stuff like that does.
Right, and that's exactly the whole point of the show. Is like, everybody says you need to be prepared. Okay, so what is prepared? So one of the things that my business does, personal consultants, what we do is we have this new thing that we're launching. We've done it for a while, but kind of like on a as needed basis, but I want to throw it out there to the general public and give you some things to start thinking about that you can do for yourself, because you don't have to have a professional do this. You can totally take it on as your own. But that's doing video inventory. And basically all it is you're taking a video camera from room to room and opening cabinets, opening drawers, because if your house burns down, or even your business burns down, even like things like your pots and pans or your kitchen towels or your bathroom, they add up, and you have to replace them.
And that's great information that you had mentioned too, Jessica, about the way you do it, because if there was a fire and all your personal belongings were burned up, what an insurance adjuster will ask you to do is to sit down. They have a forms or a tablet so you can fill out information, and you want to list all the personal belongings that you're going to replace. So if you take that time and you're diligent enough to document that electronically, like you say, it makes it so much easier when you're going through that traumatic time
Right.
to remember all this.
Right.
So now you can just replay that, and then and it makes it easier to make that list and
Right.
think about it during that stressful time.
And it's one of those things I learned from my own mistakes. So back when I was living in Louisiana, and hi to all you Louisiana listeners, we had a barn, and in that barn we kept like all our old, stuff. When we got married, we merged our stuff, and what I didn't like of his, I put in the barn. Let's just be honest.
Or threw away. Or burnt up.
All his stuff was in the barn, and then I was at work and got a call on St. Patrick's Day of all days. I will never forget this. And I thought it was my in-laws calling and invite us over to dinner, but actually they were telling us our barn was on fire.
Oh, what a coincidence. It was all his stuff. That's right. It's ironic. That's the same thing that happens to most guys.
And I had that insured. Woo.
It's so close to true. Divorced him shortly afterwards,
Okay.
but I mean, I went through that, and they the agent at the time didn't have you, so obviously they weren't really as good as you. They were just like, here, fill this form out. And I was like, holy crap, I have no idea what was in there. Mm-hmm. My husband is just kind of reeling because he's having to deal with the fact that he lost all this stuff for years and years and years. Mm-hmm. But we had to, it's not that you have to just give a list of like, here's what I lost. We had to account for where did we get it. So like I actually lost some keepsakes of mine that I was storing. And so it was like some figurines that I had for years since I've collected them since the day when I was old enough to start collecting things. And so I had to start accounting for how I got each one of those figurines, and I had to go look up pricing and where did I get it, and some of them were like heirlooms, and it's like I didn't even know where to start, and it was so overwhelming.
Yeah, and that's a great question. That's a great statement that you make as well, Jessica, because you mentioned heirlooms. So first of all, what I'm going to mention to you in the insurance industry to be prepared is that if you own any personal property at all that goes up in value, you better go back and talk to your agents to make sure it's covered correctly, because almost all insurance policies that do cover personal property has a limit on theft and coverages if it's property that goes up in value, because you just can't go out and replace a Stradivarius violin by going down to the store and just picking up a brand new violin.
Right.
So you're talking about, it could be hundreds of thousands worth of value. You have to be insured for hundreds of thousands to do that.
Right. And unless you do your homework ahead of time, and this is what I found out, I really didn't have a clue as to how much value we had in our barn. Like I had no idea what I knew there was a bunch of stuff out there, but when I start filling out that form and putting dollar values to it, I was absolutely stunned at how much we actually lost.
Right. And think about this, like you mentioned too. Think about the scenario of if you did this in advance, where you digitally do it the way you say you do it, and you can take those individual items that are keepsakes and such, lay it on a table, and then do that verbal description. Use today's technology to make it easy for you.
Right. And it doesn't have to be real fancy or anything. Oh, we have a call. Yay.
We do. We have a couple of them here. Fran from Tempe says, "Wow, great topic. Are there any companies that do video or documenting of household or office goods?"
Yes, personal consultants. That and you can email me or
that
call
would be
me.
your company.
That is my company. That's
All
and
right.
that's part of the. It fits hand in hand with being organized, and so you're more than welcome. Please give me a call. I'm going to give you my number real quick.
What a great idea!
Yes.
It's 480-382-5571. I'm going to do that again a little bit slower. 480-382-5571, or you can always email me at personalconsultants@q.com.
And ironically, when Jessica told me earlier about what she was doing, Tom from Phoenix asked the exact same question that I did. Tom from Phoenix says, "Do you need to produce actual receipts for insurance for losses such as a fire?"
Oh, great question. Great question. When you do that, too, not really. You won't have to provide receipts, because as long as you can list certain items that are there, I'm going to go back to that topic I talked about earlier. When you have items of value that go up in value, appraised, like jewelry, watches, and furs, go back to your agent to make sure that you have enough coverage, because they usually won't add that onto a policy unless you have an appraisal or receipt to insure it to value. And when you have those appraised items that go up in value, like jewelry, watches, and furs, fine arts, you're going to want to make, for your own benefit, is to recheck the value of those every 5 years, because guess what? They go up in value. You might not have it insured for enough.
Right.
Do you have those kind of contacts? I mean, that people. I don't think most people know. I mean, unless they're buying, $500,000+ paintings to where they can go and get appraisals done. I mean, even on jewelry and things like that. Do you have lists of approved vendors that you say, go check with these people? They're not trustworthy and
not approved vendors, but here's what I will tell my clients. I say, when it comes to things like jewelry and watches, first go to the jeweler that you do business with the most, because they have a full list of different appraisers that can do it for you, or they might be able to do it on site for you. When it comes to things like fine arts, the first thing you do if you don't have somebody you can list to is to really go to art galleries, because guess what they do for a living? They help appraise art to make sure they can sell it, or help an artist sell it too. So they would have those types of contacts too.
Gotcha.
That industry.
And the other part to it, and you and I were discussing this earlier, it's not just get it appraised and put it in your filing cabinet at your house, because guess what? If your house burns down, there goes your appraisal too. Mm-hmm. So where do you suggest storing these type of things?
You and I had this great conversation earlier today about that too. If from an insurance agent's position, you want to make sure if there was a fire, it was a theft, that they didn't steal all this information, or it didn't burn up. So guess what? If you have a fire safe that can handle that inside your house, or a safe deposit box, or even another relative that you can have a copy of that there, but have it in as many places away from your home that you can access. So you're suggesting
not just one place, but multiple places.
Yeah, and with today's technology, guess what you can do? You can make a digital recording, and how many times can you copy it?
Right. And then one of my suggestions, what I offer with my clients, is we actually put it on a cloud. And so it's an encrypted file, so that they don't have to worry about other people. They're the only ones that have access to it. And should their house burn and or their office is broken into and they lost all their computer equipment, they can still go to the cloud and download it. And another great thing that we offer is we go ahead and have that sent to a transcriptionist, and they type out a list of everything that we did, all the things that we videotaped. And then that way, if there's a theft, they can go and say, these 5 things are the things that are stolen, Mr. Police Officer, for their report.
Right. And think of the life change too, and everything you'd mentioned. Think of your life change, because you're going to have this list for a long time, and as you grow your assets and your personal items like that, you want to add those on to that digital recording that you have.
Yes.
All right, Mary Lou from Queen Creek has a fantastic question, and I was kind of just thinking about that myself. I must be telepathically
I don't know. Is that
psychic tonight, I think. After a loss such as a fire that an insurance company covers when you have all kinds of personal incidentals, TVs, and all kinds of things, don't you usually get dropped by that carrier, or do they continue to insure you? I mean, how does that work?
I've been in the industry for a long time, 25 years, and there was a time frame back, I would say about 15 years ago, when if you would have a couple claims in a 3-year period, some companies would actually not want to insure you anymore.
I mean, do you go from an A+ to a crappy carrier then that you're going to be paying a lot more? Do your rates usually get raised? I mean, are there repercussions when you have a $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 loss? I mean, those are huge.
Right, Joe, and you hit the head on the nail. If there was a claim in a 3-year period of time, they'll look at your 3-year claims history. They'll look if there's been a claim. If there was one, depending on the size of the loss, there would be a surcharge, and most companies keep a surcharge on there for, and can't talk about every company.
Gotcha.
But most companies will keep it on there for about 3 years, surcharge your rates, and then it goes back down to the base rates, and once it drops off, kind of like a ticket in an automobile insurance policy.
It's all based on averages, I guess. Huh?
Right. And some companies do it differently, but if you had a claim of, let's say, over $1,000 up to about $10,000, there might be a certain surcharge, and if over $10,000 and higher, there might be a different surcharge. Keep in mind, it doesn't stay on for probably more than 3 years, and it drops off once that claim goes about 3 years old.
So, and the same person I was mentioning earlier, who was telling us about his in-laws, that house was broken into, and they took their quads and joyride it for a while, and then left them trashed off in the field somewhere. He also mentioned that he's like, I just really feel sorry for my in-laws, because not too long ago their house was broken into and they stole all their goods. So from an insurance perspective, I mean, the homeowner in this case, first it was their home, and then it was their cabin. They really had no control over it. But from an insurance perspective, I mean, is there you only get one per 3 years, or I mean, if it's is it truly a dollar amount?
It's nowadays it's in with most companies it's gone to a surcharge scenario, because you won't see companies really get rid of anybody with insurance unless there's some major risk issues that don't go away. Like, let's just say that I had a dog on the property that bit multiple people, and there's claims involved, and they don't want to get rid of the dog, and they don't want to take them off the insurance policy. That's a risk that an insurance company might not want to take down the road.
Right.
But when it comes to things like theft and that's why they build in this surcharge scenario that can drop off, because life can change, and you can get it in a better situation where it doesn't happen as often.
Right.
So it's just a short period of time that the surcharge happens.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, that's that's good to know, because we don't ever want these things to happen.
Right.
And this is kind of like my Halloween trick or treat. Well, this is the trick side of it, and the treat side of it is that you can really prepare yourself ahead of time so that you don't have the drama, you don't have the stress. And then, man, you talk about make your insurance agent's day is like, here's my video, here's my list, go get it done, dude.
And I used to do that job as well in the profession of being a claims adjuster, and it's a really difficult job. And the more prepared you can be, it makes it easier on them and for yourself too. One message I would like to leave with everything you've talked about is to make sure, from everything that we've talked about now, you can imagine you need to go back to your agent and interrogate your agent on some of the guidelines of how this works.
Absolutely.
And do it more than once in a year if you have to, because you're paying for insurance and you create that relationship with your agent, and you should be someone that they can consult with you on a regular basis.
And give them a few drinks first, 'cause then you'll really get some honest answers. No, I'm only kidding.
So, I mean, that brings up a good question. It's like, okay, so tomorrow morning, I know many of our listeners are going to be like, that's going to be on their to-do list for tomorrow. It's actually, try to find your insurance agent now. I bet you they're not going to answer their phone. But I mean, they're going to be thinking about it. So what are some of the questions they need to ask? Like, what are the top 3?
Great. You mentioned some of those too. In an event of my personal property being involved in a claim, like a theft or a fire, how can I be prepared? And they'll talk about what we talked about today, And in that same scenario, now, in talking about homeowners claim, that's one way to take care of it.
Right.
Okay. Also, if it comes to like automobile insurance, that's just another thing to be prepared for too. If you get into an accident and you want to be prepared in advance for something that could occur, you want to make sure that you have places to repair your vehicle that you might have chosen in advance, because something happens. You want to go get your car repaired. Who do I go to? Well, you should really have somebody you have a relationship with, or at least go and visit that you can take in there.
Well, that brings up an interesting point, because, I mean, I'm thinking about fires because we are here in Arizona, and that seems to be, the prevalent thing. But, like, we have that storm on the East Coast, and and I'm from Louisiana, so, our catastrophes are more like hurricanes and water damage and all that. So, I mean, we're not just narrowing it down to if you have a fire, if your house gets broken into, but it's really all types of damage. So, again, if there is damage to your vehicles, I know, like,
think of the 10.5 hailstorms.
Right. I was just about to say the hailstorms. I mean, that's one of the things that you can put on your to-do list. Like, I already know who to contact and how to get this done.
Right.
And have that contact information readily available.
And in Arizona, it's really good to have an air conditioner person ready for those hailstorms, because I'll tell you, damage-wise, man, those hailstorms really create a lot of damage to AC units. And in Arizona, it's not acceptable. You have to take care of that right away.
Exactly. So line yourself up with those contractors, because, like you said, whether it be a hailstorm, whether it be a regular maintenance, we need air conditioning out here. You want to be prepared for those types of scenarios where you can contact them.
And For Your Comfort's a great one out here in Santan Valley, Queen Creek area. They take care of us out here, do a great job for your comfort. Pat and Carolyn?
I've heard that. But, I'm sorry, I'm kind of like thinking through, and it's kind of, one of the things that I would recommend as part of being organized is that you reach out and touch base with those contractors on a regular basis, because you know what, businesses come and go, and the last thing you want to do is think, okay, I have this person and I can use them, and I've used them before, and then you need them in a pinch and they're not there anymore, and then you're back calling your friends and your relatives going, who do you use, when everybody else is calling their friends and relatives too.
Here's another option for you. One of the reasons why you and I meet and we talk is because we create this relationship with a number of different professionals.
Right.
So we can do that at a drop of a hat. You and I do have contacts with those types of businesses that we meet with weekly, that we hold accountable for our own business and referrals that we give to each other. That's a good trusted source. So we can talk to your agent or talk to you in your business and say, hey, do you know somebody? Do you know another professional that does this work? That's the best way to get that information, word of mouth.
And a lot of people, and one of the things that I believe in is I think you should run your personal life like a business. And so if I'm out there in my business life pulling together contacts and resources, I mean, you should also do the same thing in your personal life. It's like, just because I know who my repair person is for my computer, they're like on my speed dial. If my computer crashes, I want to be able, but do I have a repair person for my air conditioner on speed dial?
What about your dishwasher?
Yeah, it's called my husband. He's my backup dishwasher.
Gotcha.
And if my laundry goes out, my mom and dad.
Nice.
No, just kidding. I do have a backup plan. It may not be the most ethical one, but I do have one. But I mean, those are things that people just need to even spending 5-10 minutes and taking the time to make a list and put it in a spot that you know where it's at, or make sure it's in your phone, or that could save you a ton of headache and hassle down the road.
It's so important that you actually generated a business niche from it.
Right.
Organizing and getting prepared. So
Right.
it's that important. It's something that we tend to forget in our busy lives that we keep running into, and it is real important. That way, when something does happen, you're ready.
So let's say that, knock on wood, your house really does burn down, and you don't have this video documentation or transcribed documentation on paper, and you're not a very organized person. What happens with insurance when you say, well, and do they look at this by, okay, this is what your house costs? This is, because some people have really super quality stuff, like, okay, I've got 280-inch, flat screens in this room. I mean, you come up with this enormous list that seems proportionately ridiculous, but it's real.
Great question. Yeah, great question. Think about this, and I've been at a fire site before too, and even in a total burn on a home, there is still some remnants and tracing of some of the personal property that was there, so they can pick out a lot of items as well. But to your benefit as an insured, you want to make sure that you and document as much as you can, because all the way down to your toothbrush,
Are
to
you
the
serious?
toothpaste, yes, we are there.
Yeah.
Your coverage covers all of your personal belongings in that event. At that time of loss, and you want to make sure you document as much as you can.
I mean, because if you stop and think about it, if you had to go to the store right now, your house is leveled, your business is gone. If you had to go back and buy all that stuff, it's the little things.
Holy mackerel.
That's the little things that I don't think people get. It's, you're going to remember your TVs, you're going to remember your computers, you're going to remember the big stuff, but are you going to remember, like, your clothes?
How much you spend on clothes.
I mean, if you walked in my closet, you'd understand what I mean by the clothes, like how much money I've spent in my clothes and shoes. Women are like fanatical about their purses and their shoes. How much money do you have tied up in that?
Right. I've had clients Jessica, that maybe wear suits on a daily basis, and I told them, you want to go in there and you can open that closet in that digital inventory that you're talking about, and they have $1,000 suits or $500. You better be documenting that when it comes to the fire to make sure it gets replaced in some sorts.
Wow.
And it's not just fire, because I mean, when you were talking earlier, it's like you were talking about the agents could see the remnants of what. But if somebody comes and cleans your house out, if they come
and
through,
you don't shoot them, right?
That's right.
you don't own a handgun, and then you need to have some kind of documentation, because in my experience, and please correct me if I'm wrong, otherwise you're left trying to validate or justify or there's the word I'm looking for, but prove that you had all of that.
Exactly.
I had 80 pairs of stiletto shoes in my closet.
Do they cover weapons?
Yes. And certain companies will have limitations on weapons of some sorts, but that's where you want to go back and talk to a professional agent and your agent about how your policy covers those weapons. Because I have clients that have gun collections, that some of our antique guns too, so we actually buy them, they go up in value.
So those go on.
You schedule those items.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yes,
and
sir.
and a different twist too. Businesses also should always consider having some kind of inventory, whether it be paper inventory or video inventory, which I obviously highly suggest for tax reasons. I mean, we're going to have a tax professional come on in a later show that can speak to that in more detail, but those are things that can get depreciated, that can add to your bottom line tax-wise as well. So
this was a follow-up from last week's show.
Oh, my God.
Did you go and work with him?
No.
Come on.
But he gets, he gets it thumbs down. John, you had to have seen this desk that we're looking at, and for those of you who are watching can't see it.
Hey, there you are.
Hi. But that desk, you couldn't see the top of it. And so he won the messiest desk award. Now I got to give him another award for the cleanest desk. It's just absolutely...
That's unbelievable.
Look
So
at
you're
that.
a testimonial for Jessica's business.
Oh,
Right away. Huh?
Look, and I didn't even have to do anything, and it looks fabulous. Like,
No, this is a listener
that's a listener.
who sent in a picture last week.
Really? Wow, fantastic.
Yeah, and I kind of joke saying, look, there's 4 monitors there, but you can't tell if they're all working. And yep, they were all lit up and working, and it looks fabulous. And now that guy's ready to
But we don't
produce.
see a picture of the floor.
we need a video, panoramic video.
I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt, though. It looks like he did a great job.
You know what? I don't care if the floor is a wreck. He's got his workspace cleared off, and now he's ready to rock and
He
roll.
says, "Do I get the improvement award?"
Absolutely, hands down. Absolutely. You know what? What his name was?
Dave Malton.
Dave, absolutely. You know what, Dave? You need to give me a call, and we need to chat. And you absolutely win an award, and we're going to make sure that award is suitable for your needs. So make sure you drop down my phone number and give me a call tomorrow. I'm dying to hear from you. My phone number again is 480-382-5571. And I would love to hear from anybody who's listening who's been through one of these experiences, who's had their house burned down, and some of the experiences they ran into. And if they have any tips or suggestions, like I said, I learned this from having my barn burned down. And thank God it wasn't our house, because that would have been really devastating.
Oh, my God.
I got a great tip for you, too, because in my time in the business, I've personally known 5 different people that have had total burns and gone through that with them. And they all said the same thing. You know, nobody was injured. It was wonderful. And then they can rebuild the house. They can replace personal belongings. And the only thing that they were so distraught about was all the memories, all the family pictures and memorabilia. That's the part that they really miss the most. So that's kind of a thought, something to think about how you can duplicate that.
Well, and then that does bring up a good point. And then, so I have answers to that, of course. There's always, you're not going to get the same quality, but there's always scan. And I mean, I highly suggest that. And, you know, the way that they're doing reproductions nowadays are almost, you can take black and white photos. You can even take the slides. I don't know if people know this. I found this out the hard way. But you can take slides to, I think, even Walmart these days. Their photo sections or Walgreens or CVS, and they can reproduce those slides for you.
Or and some of them can actually have companies that actually put together like musical numbers to them as you go through slideshows of all your family memorabilia and pictures. So
that's something to think about as we're starting to approach the holidays, and nobody really wants to admit it, but we're there. It's that time again. But you're going to start taking more photos. And I mean, I know for myself, I take tons of photos, and they're all on my computer. I'm really bad about I never print them. I only print like 1 or 2 really great ones, and then those get on my wall or they go in my photo book or whatever. But I have tons of mine on my computer. So I feel like if something should happen, my computers are like triple redundant, backed up. So, but I mean, for like my parents, my mom has like literally tote boxes full of photos that, again, they would lose all that and all her genealogy that she works on. And
so duplicate those memories just to make sure, because that's more sentimental more than anything else.
Absolutely, and I can see that. And that's like the thing that I was devastated about is I lost all my little girl knickknacks that I had from, you know, my very first birthday up till I was 17. I lost all my little girl knickknacks. Made me sad. But so, again, for those of you who are listening, we are talking about when things go bad. So it is Halloween, and, you know, we're talking about the trick or treat, and the trick side is that things will go bad eventually. You can't count on it. You can count on it. Someday, somehow, something is bad going to happen to you. I hate to break it to you, but that's life. And so the treat side of it is that, I keep hitting the microphone, is that you can get yourself organized so that it is not as devastating as it could be. Now, I'm not trying to say in any way that if you get a video inventory that it's just suddenly going to turn out roses, but at least it won't completely devastate you.
And my understanding too, Jessica, and tell me if I'm wrong, but if you do that video inventory, really the biggest job is the very first time that you do that, because you can add on after as you change your life.
And that's my suggestion. Your first time, honestly, is going to be an investment, and I'm not going to dilute in any kind of way. It's going to be an investment because you're literally in time, because you're literally going room by room, cabinet by. These are my pots. This is my Tupperware. These are my silverware. Oh, by the way, this is the silverware that my mother gave me. It was her wedding silverware.
Right.
You know, that's valuable, and that just not to yourself, but in dollars too. And then you go room by room, drawer by drawer. These are all my clothes. So if nothing else, you can, if you had to go recreate what was in those, you don't have to rely on your memory, because we all know our memory fades.
Right.
And you may forget that you had something tucked away or hidden in that drawer. And so, yeah, absolutely. And then after that, the first time is takes time and effort. But then after that, whether you do it annually, I honestly recommend every 2 years. Some people suggest having it done every year. And then all you're doing is hitting the new acquisitions, the new things that you purchased, or the new things that you received as gifts, and then just covering those things.
Right.
Hey, Joe, what you got for us?
Let's see here. We have Terry J. from Louisville, Kentucky. Says we had a total loss.
Sorry.
Insurance was rough. We lost a ton of money. They didn't take good care of them, and we had no documentation. Wish we would have had you before.
Absolutely.
That was Terry J's horrible experience, apparently.
Sorry, Terry. I'm really sorry to hear about it. But then again, make sure, I'm going to turn this around real quick. That happened to you, and I really do regret that happened to you. I don't wish this on anybody. But my suggestion is to make sure that you tell people about your experiences and what you're learning about it and how those people, so your family, your friends, your coworkers, give them a hand and let them know that there are other options.
And then Chad from Worcester, Massachusetts, said we had a disastrous fire, lost all our goods, even one vehicle. We had pictures by camera, not video camera. It helped a lot. It was the best that it could be. We did get everything replaced.
Great. That's wonderful to hear, too.
That's really good.
And with those topics that came up, too, specific on your homeowner's personal belongings, one thing I would definitely go back and talk to your agents about is about replacement value, because the way policies are structured, you're going to have one of two or three things. You're going to have your personal belonging being replaced at depreciated value, depending on what type of policy you buy, which means if my television was burned in a fire, they're going to take into account the age of that television and depreciate for the age and then
and
cash
give you
value.
$15.
Yeah, and that's right. And then, or they're going to have the replacement value, which most agents should be writing is at new replacement value, which means they'll go like, kind, and quality, go to the store, find out what the new price is, and replace it for that newer price. That's what you're looking for.
So, John, do you want to let's get you throw out your contact information, because one of the things that struck me was that the lady that called earlier said that she had an agent that wasn't I'm trying to be very nice about it, who wasn't very helpful in the situation.
Okay.
And so why don't you tell us, how can somebody get a hold of you? And and I know we do have listeners from other state. Can you help them in locating an agent in their area?
Yes, I can help them with locating an agent in the states that you're in, because when it comes to property and casualty insurance, like homeowners insurance, we're licensed to write insurance in the state that we're living in and that the agency is doing business in. So, example, I can't write insurance in any other state other than Arizona, and I definitely would have you in contact. I can give you general information about insurance, but definitely talk to an agent in the state that you're in.
And will you make that little connection, like, hey?
Right, I could definitely get you to a AAA agent, because AAA is in all states as far as representatives and agents, and I can get you to the right contact.
You do vehicles and everything.
Right, we do auto, home,
so you're a full
life.
service guy.
Yes, sir. Yes,
right
sir.
on.
Here in Arizona.
So why don't you throw out your contact information real quick?
Sure. My direct phone number is 602-285-6287, and my email address is my first initial and last name. It's J Condaso. That's JCANDASO at Arizona.aaa.com, and that's Arizona spelled out. So Arizona.aaa.com, and I'll be glad to respond to any questions that you have.
And one of our chatters brought up a situation that happened out here in Santan Valley. I don't know, 6-8 weeks ago. From our house, I heard this loud explosion, and looked over and saw this giant fire. It looked like it was coming from a neighbor's house. Well, it was on the next street, but it was so big. I actually went up on top of our western town and looked and saw this house burning down. So jammed over there. It happened to be a neighbor that I knew, ironically. They were in their 70s, VA vet, his wife. They lost everything. Complete loss, lost everything. And it just so happened that Dave on here, ironically, and I made some announcements and people got together, but Dave went over there personally, and he's been working with them, getting things organized. And Dave actually picked them up a brand new place. Well, it wasn't brand new, but it was nice.
Right.
After 2 days, so they slept outside one time in a tent that people donated. The point of it is they didn't have insurance. They lost everything, absolutely everything. And if it wasn't for the kind people out here that helped bring it together and help them out, these people literally would be homeless, moneyless, completely done. And I'm sure that they have, these are things, they've been living there a very long time. I'm sure they have lots of things that there's no way they'll ever replace.
Yeah.
Right.
Fortunately, they had some help, but with insurance, they'd had everything replaced. And I'm sure they wish that they would have had it now. Unfortunately, they didn't. Thank you, Dave, for all your diligence and helping these people out, and everyone out there that donated and came to the aid of these folks. It definitely showed what our town here's made out of.
Right.
And that's one of the things that I can say, that whenever people think that human beings in general are corrupt or evil or whatever, we get.
No, they are.
But when there's catastrophes, like I lived in Louisiana during Katrina, and so I'm not going to get in the whole debate as to whether or not that was Louisiana's fault for not picking themselves up or not. You can stand on either side of the fence, but I know for a fact, for having lived there, the communities pull together to help each other out.
Yeah.
And so I would highly suggest, like, if you're one of those situations that you can't afford insurance and these things happen to you, start talking to your friends and neighbors and just reach out there and ask for help.
And the things that are the most important, and as Dave just jumped on there and said, the guy misses his family, his mother's photos the most.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And he's 77, so I'm sure his mother's probably passed away by now, maybe. But as Dave said, and you always say, Jessica, take those pictures, take those important items, and put them up in the cloud.
Yeah.
You know, and that's something that I have recently. So I actually started to do it before we met. I haven't been diligent in following up, and now after really thinking about that, I think right now it actually hit home. I am going to do that.
Good.
I am going to put all my photos up there because those are things. Especially my wet T-shirt photos. No, I'm only kidding. No, but the family
The
photos.
ones we'll be seeing on Facebook here in about another hour?
Right, those are the ones.
You were wearing a wet T-shirt contest?
No, those are the ones of you from the contest.
Okay, sorry.
But seriously, the family photos and stuff, the kids growing up, those are all on my hard drives. And if those ever went down, my God, that'd be a disaster. You lose a whole life of memories.
Yeah.
Yep.
Which brings me to, I want to kind of twist the topic a little bit. We've been mainly focusing on homes and if something happens if you're a homeowner. But what about businesses? Is there anything insurance-wise that is different than if you're a business owner and those same type of things happen?
Great question. You definitely went back to talk to your agents again as well, but not too much different. Especially with businesses and the amount of business inventory, whether it be manufacturer or whether it be office supplies or how your office is set up. You want to be able to account for all of that inventory, and you buy insurance for that. So you might as well get your money's worth out of your insurance and make sure you have all that listed to make sure if something happens, it can be covered.
Right.
Oh yeah, that's definitely do the same thing.
Right.
Definitely.
And so would you suggest, would in your opinion as an insurance agent, would you suggest the video inventory for businesses as well?
Very much so, and here's the reason why. Because if something occurred and you have so much more than probably a personal homeowner would have in a business, do you want to waste your time doing that, or do you want to have it so inventoried where you can almost hand it to an adjuster or do a short inventory time with it, because that your time is money.
Let me ask you this too. Here's something that I've thought about. So if my business, if I'm trucking along and then something happens and my place is robbed and it's completely or burns down, is there insurance to help you get another place right away so that you can get right back into business?
Right. And when it comes to personal lines or businesses too, you want to talk to your agent about that. There's loss of usage in certain cases, so it kind of provides monies to get you back in place. In the personal lines, there's money. There's an account and coverage built into your policies that pays for rents and leases while your home's being rebuilt.
Okay.
So your rents and leases are paid for to stay someplace else while we rebuild your home for you. So in the same entity with business and commercial, you want to make sure you have that availability to put up business and go someplace else built into your policies as well.
Absolutely. That's great to know that, because that was something I was actually thinking about. It's like, content-wise, you can always go to the store and replace it business-wise. Now, you don't typically have too many memorable things like your photos and stuff. You will have some.
Right.
So you can always go back and buy new computers, new equipment, but how do you get your building back up so you can get back to making money again?
You're a commercial agent you want to talk to.
And does it actually, just while I'm thinking about it, does it have insurance for your loss of income?
Loss of income, yes. Yeah. Whether you're a business owner, let's just say that you have a rental home that you have. These personal people that own homes and they rent them out. That's a business now.
Yeah.
So, and if let's say that burns down and you lose your tenant and you don't get the income anymore, there's an account built into that renter's policy to pay loss of income. So definitely talk to your professional agents about that.
Fantastic. What you got for us?
Nancy out of Yuma, Nancy D, says, if you have a home that has additions that were not permitted when built, is that covered in case of a disaster? And I did tell her it probably has to do with the policy and the company, and that gets a little bit, you got to check into your own policies. But
that could become an issue in a claim. What I would do, though, is if you're adding square footage to your house, you definitely want to talk to your agent and talk about that square footage.
She said that she had bought a home that already had these unpermitted additions built on there when she bought it, so that she's just concerned.
And as long as it's insured at the time and the insurance company accepts that contract with that square footage built in there for that, most companies will take care of that in the claim. So
just check there, Nancy from Yuma. Just check if your home square footage is accurate.
Correct.
With the, if it's a built-in Arizona room or an extra office, make sure that it encompasses everything. And if it doesn't, say your home's 2,000 square feet now, and it's only covered $1,100, make sure you talk to your agent and you discuss this and figure out what to do, because that's definitely a problem.
That's what insurance companies will do. They want to insure not the retail value of the home, because that fluctuates too much, but what it would cost the contractor to rebuild that home in the event of a loss. So make sure it's accurate with your agent.
All right. So one more time, why don't you give out your information again for those of you who didn't get it before?
Thanks. You're so nice.
I want to make sure you get it. Because you have such great knowledge, and I want people to be able to access you should they wake up in the middle of the night with questions like I do.
Sure. It's 602-285-6287. That's my direct phone number. And my email address is jcondaso, that's JCANDASO, at arizona.aaa.com. And it's Arizona spelled out completely.
Awesome.
Definitely.
Did you have something you looked
No, we're good.
Oh,
We're caught
okay.
up.
Didn't know Joe's paper is completely filled up with notes from callers, and I'm really glad that people are listening and taking this to heart and really thinking about it. I know it's kind of like it's a bummer kind of conversation. People don't want to talk about this, but I think it's an important one, because that's so it just really can take you out personally, emotionally, business wise.
And I can tell you one thing that I learned from this show that I had no idea. I thought AAA was just something you bought. Like, I have it, but I have the, the $120 or whatever a year that covers in case you get stuck and you need towing or you get a flat. I didn't know AAA covered, personal, household, and all that stuff. I had no idea. I thought it was just an emergency type of company.
Our membership is one of our most valuable products, because it takes care of you in the event of you break down, and all the discount services that come along with the membership. And every single state in the United States, the AAA clubs, they do offer a AAA insurance product that's available to you. So regardless of which state that you live in, just be aware there's a AAA club there, that they have an insurance agent there that actually handles insurance on behalf of AAA now.
So do you do commercial as well?
Yeah, we have commercial agents. We have it set up to where I handle all the personal lines, and I work hand in hand, hip to hip, with a commercial professional that does nothing but commercial insurance, and he does a very, very good job.
Does AAA, for people in this area that are concerned or curious, do you cover agriculture type policies too, like farming policies? Like, let's say I have a herd of deer, some alpacas, and some ostriches. You can cover that kind of stuff?
You can.
I'm not saying the animals themselves.
You mean that beautiful drive as I came in and I saw all those animals? That was wonderful.
Gotcha.
But yes, regardless of what business structure you have, we can find an insurance company out there on behalf of AAA that we can write insurance for it.
And one of
example, like an agency. So we have contracted with other companies to write insurance.
Oh, gotcha.
And one of the great things about partnering with John, and I've known you for a little bit over a year now, is there's always insurance for things that I never think of. Like, we're going on a vacation next week. We're going to the lovely San Francisco and Sacramento area. So for any of you out there, I'd love to hear from you. Maybe you can meet us and we can go out and have a drink and get you organized over drinks or something. That should be interesting. But anyway, but I didn't realize that you can have different type of insurances for when you go on vacations or your rental cars. And never thought about those things.
Rental car insurance, and travel agents actually have an insurance if you travel abroad and there's an accident that you have.
Did you say with broads?
Insurance. Yeah.
You should get that one.
Traveling with broads.
That's right.
Gotcha.
This is a whole different show.
What do you insure that for? Yeah.
But when you're traveling overseas.
Right, gotcha.
And, there's special travel insurance that agents can handle, that the travel agents can offer you while you're abroad, if you're coming to an accident or you need health care, that type of thing.
And, of course, the people out here going to Mexico, you got to have insurance to go to Mexico. If you don't, you're crazy.
Exactly. And, if you're going to go over that border, make sure you have Mexico insurance, because in most contracts, your current auto insurance does not cover that in most cases.
And remember, if you get hit in Mexico like I did, you better just take off. And I'm serious. I got hit. I was stopped at a railroad track one time in Mexico, brand new truck, got slammed from behind, and you take off. Because if you don't, you go to jail. You're automatically assumed guilty.
You're definitely out of the country, and you're not under the law of the U.S.
You're screwed.
Oh, no.
And I had insurance, and it didn't even pay. It sucked, but I had it.
Yeah, so if you come back to the States and you can't file a claim?
No, you can.
Oh, okay.
It just does. I've heard a lot of time. Now, I didn't have AAA. I had to stop at the border by the insurance crap.
Exactly, the Mexico insurance.
And that keeps you out of jail is pretty much all that does.
Yes,
from what I've seen.
Almost all U.S. contracts for automobile insurance, unless they have that special Mexico insurance built in, only covers the United States and Canada.
So if half your car is over the border, that front half is not covered.
I'm I never knew that.
Mm-hmm. So
That is just crazy.
We will always direct our members and our insureds to go online. We can go right online and buy Mexico insurance. It's really quick. It prints right out of the computer for the days that you're going
Where can
over.
people go to get that?
You can go right to our AAA website because for members, we do it right
Sweet.
there. You go right online, you buy it online, and it prints it right out from your computer, your ID cards, and your
that's pretty
declaration
cool.
page.
Being where we're located, that's a lot of people will probably pick that up, and that's a good tidbit of info. A lot of people don't know where to get that.
I didn't even know that such a thing existed. I would be one of those that would go across the border, have my car totaled, and I'm like,
You've done a lot of. I see you've done a lot of traveling.
I don't usually leave the U.S. So I'm kind of
Yeah, contact your agents because some of them will offer it and write it for you too. But nowadays, with all the technology, it's all done. Most of it's done online now.
Wow, that's so
Wow.
cool. I love technology. It's the best ever. Technical.
It's made my job easier over the years.
I bet
bet.
so.
I've been around from when I used to write contracts, and now most of it's on computer. It's really
Well, I'm
easy.
looking forward to having you do some workups for us. So
Fantastic.
most
do it.
definitely.
And I also want to mention we have something that we're planning in January. It's a shred fest, and we're working on it, so it's a work in process. So, but I want to just go ahead and tease our listeners a little bit. But we're going to have 4 locations: Tempe, Mesa, Scottsdale, and Phoenix. And John is going to be one of the we're going to have vendor booths out there. You bring your stuff
Nice.
and have it shredded on site. Get to see the organizer, the disorganized crime fighter. She'll be there with her pink hair and the whole
Wow.
9 yards. She'll make a guest
What a
appearance.
bonus!
Yeah, we're going to do things too. Like I know there's going to be little raffles going on. So
Yep.
after all
A lot
these
of free
events too, we'll pick a
giveaways.
name, and we're going to do things like give away a AAA membership to a raffle.
Jessica's
Lucky
gonna
person.
Jessica's gonna make her famous beans and franks.
You don't want me cooking.
barbecue sauce.
That would clear the line. You do not want me to cook. I don't cook anything unless I can microwave it in 30 seconds or less. My poor kids know that.
What does it say up here? Covered the towing of the trailer horn. Of the trailer home without an E. Gotcha. Sorry about that. I don't know what that means.
So
Oh, wait. I didn't read the question before. We had a blowout on a trailer tire the other day. We were pulling a 34-foot sailboat, and we had AAA with towing coverage. We did not have a spare tire for the trailer. Would our AAA have covered the towing of the trailer home?
There is a membership that's available to you on that too. It's the Plus RV service. So if you go on the website, you can contact me directly on that too. I can talk to you about it. If you buy that membership and you have that membership with you, it'll actually handle motor homes, towing a trailer and a boat, that type of thing. It'll handle that service.
Does it cover the medical if you're riding in a boat that's being towed and you jump off and you try to jump on another vehicle while it's going by?
this is not speed.
First of all, I hope.
Oh, gotcha.
First of all, I hope
having
we have some YouTube going on for that. We can do that. But usually with not insurance.
Dave, don't tell me to shut up, please.
It's so great. This is not Speed or Speed 2.
Gotcha.
Joe's version.
Just saw
of
that
it.
today at noon, so.
Yeah. Our little new technology toy YouTube.
Right.
And towing insurance, you mentioned it. My husband's car, bless it. And that poor car, I found out it's worth less than $300. Interesting enough, but it keeps running. It keeps running.
Your vehicle?
The car, yeah. It's really in sad shape. It's a beater, and we love it to death, and we don't want to get rid of it. But we had it towed, and then so I called my insurance agent. I was like, "Is it covered?" No, we didn't have towing on that particular car. So we're like, "Well, can we get it right now?" And they're like, "As soon as it gets fixed." Okay, fine. So we added it. The car got fixed that day. I'd be dadgummit, the car didn't break down again the next
When
day.
when the tow bill is worth more than the vehicle's worth, isn't that like a total loss? And then you have to pay your $1,000 deductible.
That's right. But at least there's no car payment.
It's a catch-22.
It was one of those. We'd rather put pay $70 to have it towed than buy another $300 car. At this
You
point.
have a couple options. There's some clubs out there, specifically with AAA. The unique thing about AAA membership is that it follows a person. It doesn't follow a car.
Oh, cool.
So yes, because you
It
could
follows a person.
be. Yes, so if you are riding in a car, you're renting a car.
I could borrow her $300 car then and be taken care of.
Exactly. There you go. Or just a passenger. As long as you're there and you need that help, the AAA is going to come out to do that with the membership.
So there's a lot of great things. And there's a lot of things that if you haven't put your insurance agent on your Christmas card list, I suggest you do it, and then also
Right.
get in touch with them and start making them your best friend.
Make sure
Yes.
you send them maybe like a gift certificate, $50 or more.
Yeah, and then of course auto policies too. There's sometimes an endorsement in there to buy some towing on your auto policy, which gives you a reimbursed amount if you have to use a tow of some sort.
And if you live out in a place remote, on a serious note, I mean, you got to think about how far you may need to get towed because you may. Can you up that and say they're only covering 20 miles right now? Can we cover 75 miles?
Great question.
Is that something you can do?
Yes, the higher end, our higher levels of membership, our AAA Plus, our AAA Premier memberships, tow you for 100 miles, no questions asked.
Wow! If you can't get there in 100 miles, it's like fix it yourself, right? Call Jessica.
Yeah, and the Premier membership, it gives you one tow in the family of that membership, a 200-mile tow. And also a home lockout, too. So the higher membership, the higher level of membership, the more benefits you get.
Home lockout.
Mm-hmm.
No way.
Home lockout.
Mm-hmm.
I've done that before.
Really? Yes, you have.
I have.
They'll reimburse up to $150 on a home lockout if you have a AAA Premier membership, our highest level. Once a year.
That wouldn't cover the window you normally break, would it?
Squeezing through the really tiny bathroom window, trying to throw my kid over the window, going, go get the keys.
And Dave said his RV insurance is 200 miles.
That's wonderful. RV insurance, it's a tow. If you have that plus, there's one tow in that household that can have 200 tow a year. Otherwise, it's 100 miles per year.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome.
Yes, it really is.
All right, so we're getting close to the end of the show. I know, it flew by, didn't it?
Wow.
You had to check the time.
I did. I wanted to make sure you were okay.
But I just want to make sure we throw out our contact information again. If you are looking to have video inventory done of your home or your business, please contact me at Personal Consultants. That number is 480-382-5571. Again, 480-382-5571. Or you can email me. That's Personal Consultants with an S at q.com. And then John Condaso has been an amazing first guest. Thank you so much.
I had a great time. It's just so much fun.
And he's in here in the man cave.
Yes.
He's so excited to be here. I may not be able to get him
That's
to leave.
That's a good thing.
He may not leave.
We'll have a cocktail afterwards.
Just going to hang out for a while. But if you want to reach out to him, his direct phone number is 602-285-6287. Don't have my glasses on.
That's okay.
That's 602-285-6287. Or you can email him at at jcondaso. That's JCANDASO at arizona.aaa.com.
And we've got a personal testimonial out there. It says, my parents used the 200-mile tow last year. They broke down halfway between California and Arizona.
Oh, yeah.
That's excellent.
Yeah.
Sweet.
And did you wear, and I'm pretty sure that's still in case, too. Did
they ride you back, too?
They'll take you back that 100 miles. Yeah, nowadays you're seeing more tow trucks. You're seeing more tow trucks that have four-person cabs in it.
Will they pick you up lunch on the way, though? I mean, because you know what? That's important.
Drive-through.
It's all in the relationship you create with that driver.
Right, there you go.
Contacts are everything.
Keep them on the list.
I've had a situation in my years with AAA where the AAA membership card has been used as a bail bond. So I'll give you an example. You got a ticket in Oregon. You can get a ticket in Oregon, and I lived in California at the time. And so to pay for the ticket, you can handle your AAA card. I think it handles up to, if I'm not mistaken, $1,500 for bail, and then AAA pays for it. Then they just come back in your membership, and you can just pay the AAA on the ticket.
Get out.
Different types of things.
There's something for you to think about, Jessica, when you're going on your trip.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. Those trips for fun, and I might need that one.
A lot of benefits.
If you get tossed in the can, you're all set.
I don't know. I may do it on purpose. I need a vacation for my vacation.
Nice. I've been watching too much Law and Order.
All right. So, do we have any other last-minute questions before we wrap this up tonight?
I don't know. That's all up to you.
John, do you have anything you want to add?
Just thankful you guys having me on, having AAA on here, and just a lot of fun.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Well, next week's show, as I mentioned earlier, we are getting into the buying season, so we're going to talk about how to get your shopping organized for the holidays. We're also going to have the Merchant Services, Don Croyle. He's with Merchant Services, and he's going to tell all the businesses out there some of the things that you need to know. Like, so if you've ever seen the commercials for the Intuit Go payment or the Square versus the traditional credit card services, like the pros and cons of what that is. And so especially as we have businesses getting ramped up for the holidays, be prepared.
That just ruined my night, by the way.
Credit card services?
No, telling me we were getting to the buying season. I know my wife's out there listening. You might have just reminded her. She may have forgotten.
You didn't see the truck when she pulled in. It was already loaded up. Are you kidding?
Great. Fantastic. I hope you're kidding.
Absolutely.
Oh, you're not, are you?
I can't tell. I have an agreement not to talk. So everybody, thank you so much for listening. Please make sure that you tune in next Tuesday, 6:15, right here at kqcklive.com. And thank you so much for joining us.
And you've been watching The O Factor with Jessica G. and special guest John Condaso from AAA. You can watch the archives. I'll be putting those up here on YouTube very shortly. It's YouTube. Our channel is just KQCK Live or KQCK Radio. Oops, I think it's live. KQCK Live. But try them both if it doesn't work. Sorry, I forgot.
And don't forget our Facebook page.
That's right. What is it? Mm-hmm. What is it? Are you not organized?
I haven't.
Calling her out.
I haven't.
Since I forgot what it is. Isn't it Organize Me?
I think it's
Isn't it
Get
Facebook?
Organized. Or
Get Organized,
I think
that's
it's
it.
Get Organized.
I set that up. Isn't that great?
Is that kind of like the Scheffner one, the cook at home?
You like that?
Oh.
And remember, guys, we've got some great shows tomorrow. All day. Check them out. Sorry, I shouldn't have taken that last pain pill.
It's that time of the day where our brain starts shutting
Right.
down.
Canal Power Players, Doc Talk Radio. Just tune in. Check them all out. And thank you so much. Pay attention to our sponsors. Keeps us going.
Are you experiencing computer problems? Is your computer running slow, bogged down with viruses and spyware? You need a reliable and knowledgeable, trustworthy computer service company.